weights on the front feel balanced today, the steering true. You notice these things when you've known the opposite. You learn to praise the absence of trouble. It's a quiet gospel, but it keeps you upright. By mid-morning, the sun decides to cooperate. Warm, not cruel. Clouds move like slow cattle across a wide pen of blue. I keep time by shadows and the way the engine note settles into something like contentment. At the co-op later, a door held open, a nod, a question asked like a favor you don't have to return. Advice trades hands the way sockets do. Quick, practical, with a shared understanding that everything breaks if you ignore it. Out here, kindness is a tool you keep sharp. I count by different math now, not just liters and bushels, but minutes spared, breakdowns avoided, kindness given without a ledger. Some gains you can print on a ticket, others you only notice when your shoulders drop as you breathe. Both matter. The ticket today isn't a windfall. It's not a miracle. It's honest, and honest, given room, compounds. It pays a bill, patches a doubt, puts quiet in a place that used to rattle. I cross one line off a list that seemed immortal. The list doesn't like it, but it learns. Everything can be shortened if you keep showing up. Even grief, even fear, learns the shape of your stubbornness and makes room. There's a bend in the road where my grandfather used to downshift and nod. A wordless way of saying, remember this, remember why. I hear it now, not as a ghost, but as a promise I owe to the living. Promises are heavy, so are harvests. We shoulder both. Back in the field, rows fall like pages turning. Steel sings against soil, and the sky holds its temper. You could call it luck. I call it a door opening because we kept knocking. The cab window frames a world that is both small and infinite. One field, one day, one engine, one set of hands. But the math stretches past the fence line, into debts that shrink by degrees, into seasons that stack like hay. Hope is a habit. I am practicing it. A neighbor asks if I need a hand. Another asks nothing, just leaves a spare part on the tailgate with a note that says, if. If is a generous word. It tells you you're not alone without making you prove it. I tuck the part where I'll find it when I do. And I can only hope that the effort we've poured into this ground will be enough to carry us into the next season and the next harvest. The engine idles down to a patient hum. The dust settles like thought finding its place. For the first time in a long while, the future doesn't feel like a cliff. It feels like a road with shoulders wide enough to pull over and breathe. I do. By late morning, the day has a shape, tasks that fit, time that doesn't fight back. I tighten what's loose, loosen what's tight. Old wisdom learned anew. I take stock. Fuel steady, weather holding, margins thin but alive. I take stock of something else too. The way hope returns when you practice it on purpose. Hopes planted in routine grow roots. A sensor that used to flicker holds. The belt that squeaked doesn't. The bin climbs without complaint and the ledger straightens by degrees. It isn't glamour, it isn't a headline. It's the ordinary heroism of not quitting. We didn't outrun our past, we outworked it. If there's a turning point here, it isn't a single load or a single ticket. It's the decision, made quietly, made daily, to push the story one fence post further. Noon comes like an exhale. I sit on the step, drink goes warm in my hand, and the field glows with the stubborn light of things that endure. I think he'd be proud, not for the numbers, but for the way we stayed. Back to work, back to the habit of hope. The day is young yet, and the rows are waiting. I stand, dust my palms, and the gravel remembers one more step. By late morning, the air changes. Less fragile, more certain. Engines clear their throats, and the whole yard exhales. There's weight in motion again, the kind that means progress, not pressure. The tractor answers first, faithful as ever. Its tone today isn't complaint, it's conversation. I listen for the difference, and I can hear it. A steady rhythm instead of a cough, a promise instead of a warning. Tools line the bench like soldiers finally off duty. Each one has a story, nicked edges, paint worn thin, initials from men who taught me patience with steel and grease. They're quiet now, but not done. None of us are. The sun climbs, laying gold across the sheet metal. Everything shines, not polished, but honest. Sweat draws maps down my arms, salt tracing the geography of work. This part of the day doesn't ask for reflection, it demands focus. Hydraulic hiss, lever push, engine surge. Each sound a verse in a hymn only farmers know. The land listens, then replies in dust and motion. There's rhythm here, a pulse that runs beneath the noise. Hope hides in repetition. It beats steady, waiting for you to notice. And once you do, the hours stop feeling like enemies. Grain slides down the chute like time measured in harvest instead of clocks. Each kernel is a second, small, heavy, worth keeping. We trade them to survive, but we also keep them to remember how survival sounds. A tire bites deep into the soil, finds grip, holds. That's the day in one motion. Traction after slippage, balance after struggle. The machine and I understand each other's language again. By now the valley hums, a chorus of engines, wind, and willpower. Every farm adds its own note. It isn't harmony in the clean sense, but it's real, and real always carries further. I remember when the sound used to scare me. Each clank a cost, each shake a question. Now it feels like a pulse, proof that something's alive. Maybe that's the turning point, when noise becomes heartbeat. Static cracks through the radio. Voices of neighbors checking yields, weather, stories. Some joke, some curse. All stay connected by airwaves that don't care about fences. There's comfort in that static. It's proof we're not alone in this noise. I turn the volume down, not off. Silence is too heavy now. It needs a heartbeat underneath. The engine obliges, steady, grounded, like an old friend who knows when to speak and when to just sit beside you. By midday, heat clings to every surface. The sky sharpens into a hard blue mirror, and even the wind sounds metallic. Sweat turns dust to clay on my sleeves, a badge that no one sees but everyone understands. Every turn of the wheel draws a pattern older than memory. Wide arcs, straight runs, the geometry of faith in motion. It isn't grace, it's geometry carved from discipline, but it feels holy enough. A rattle begins somewhere behind me, faint but insistent. Not panic, just a question. I ease the throttle, step down, and listen. The machine speaks in clicks and sighs. I answer with a wrench. Together we find our rhythm again. That's the rule here. Nothing fixes itself, and nothing stays broken if you refuse to walk away. The trick is to hear the difference between what can be mended and what must be accepted. Today, most things lean toward mercy. Back in the seat, the cab feels like a confession booth. Hot, humming, honest. I speak to no one, but the air answers in vibration. Some prayers are mechanical, they still count. The load builds slow, steady, each ton a paragraph in a story that finally starts to make sense. I catch myself smiling, not wide but real, because progress has a sound, and it's this. Sometimes I think the field remembers, where we stalled, where we cursed, where we nearly gave up, and it forgives us by growing anyway. The radio crackles again. Someone found a lost tool, Someone's kid made a team, someone's combine caught fire, but they saved the header. It's the daily gospel of rural survival. Every story ends the same. Still here. Lunch comes and goes without ceremony. Just fuel like everything else. The shade from the bin wall feels expensive. I sit there for 5 minutes that feel like 5 seasons, counting breaths instead of bushels. I think about my grandfather's hands, scarred maps of persistence, how he used to say the land will test you twice, once when it breaks you, and again when it forgives you. We're somewhere between the two. Back to work. The afternoon opens wide and bright, no longer heavy, just waiting. I settle in, eyes on the rows, mind on the balance between enough and almost. Each pass is a quiet yes to the question the day keeps asking. Are you still willing? Afternoon light leans long across the field. The horizon hums, the dust hangs like scripture half remembered. Every sound fits now, the clank, the hiss, the sigh, each one part of the same sentence. The machine and I have stopped arguing. It leads, I follow, then I lead, it follows. That's what trust looks like when it's built from broken parts. A loose chain finds its place and falls silent. That tiny quiet feels enormous, proof that order can return, grain by grain. I laugh once, the kind of sound that startles even me. For months I measured progress in what went wrong. Now I measure it in what stays fixed. That shift is small, but it's everything. The sun keeps climbing, and I chase its shadow down the row. My thoughts move like the combine, steady, sure, cutting clean through what's no longer needed. The field shrinks behind me, and with it the doubt. I think about the first delivery this year, how the scales tipped light, how I told myself it was still worth it. Today the trailer feels heavier, not rich, not lucky, just right, enough to stand on. Thunder mutters on the far ridge, an empty threat, maybe a reminder. The weather still owns half the story, but I've earned a paragraph or two myself. Every farm day has a hinge, a moment that could swing either way. Today it swings toward light. You can feel it in the steering wheel, in the pulse behind your ribs. The valley begins to glow, the color of work turned honest. Trucks roll by with waves that mean keep going. No horns, no crowds, just recognition among survivors. I run a mental list of what's still ahead. Another load, another check, another sunset to meet halfway. But underneath the logistics, a quiet truth hums. We're doing it. The weight has shifted. Voices on the radio share forecasts, jokes, a song too old to name. I leave it on. The static fills the spaces between thoughts. Sometimes company sounds like that. Imperfect, but enough. I remember his words again. When the work starts to answer you back, don't talk over it. So I don't. I just listen, and the field speaks fluent forgiveness. Somewhere deep inside, a weight shifts, quiet as breath, heavy as gratitude. This was the day we turned the story. Not through victory, but through steadiness, through staying. Tomorrow will come with new demands, new noise, new chances to listen. But tonight belongs to the silence we've earned. And in that silence, hope hums like a low engine, waiting for dawn.